What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. MTG here with another episode. If you're new to the channel, hi there. So with using the Galaxy Z Fold 7 for the past week, I've been able to test things like the battery, like the camera, and the daily performance. And I gotta say, this is so much easier to recommend to the mainstream consumer than the Z Fold 6 was, because there's improvements in nearly every single category. Now there is a couple, one main caveat that some may not like, one thing that was taken away, and at this point I'm sure you probably heard about the removal of S Pen support, and we're going to kind of dabble into that when we get into the performance. But for the most part, everything about this phone has been improved. Yes, there is still lots of room for improvement. If we truly want a foldable Ultra from Samsung, yes, there is, but we don't know if Samsung's going to be going into that route anytime soon. But let's kind of dabble right into the design, because that's where we get the main visual differences. So starting things off with the outer part, Samsung has included a new hinge which they call Armor Flex hinge, and it is really good, and it makes the phone so much thinner but more durable as well, at least with the inner display and whatnot. And when we take a look at this phone, it is 8.9 millimeters thin. Just take a look at that right there, and it's just a little bit, tad bit thicker than the Galaxy S25 Ultra. However, when we do unfold it like that, 4.2 millimeters. So it's, look at that USB-C port, it's about the same size, like it barely fits. That's how thick, that's how thin, I was gonna say thick, but that's how thin the Fold is when unfolded. And it also makes this phone so much lighter. It comes in at 215 grams, which weighs less than the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. But since we got this display open, look, we got an 8-inch display, larger than the 7.6 inch, which I'm all for. Absolutely love having a larger inner display with the Z Fold 7. And I personally think this is an upgrade. Some may disagree. It's having a regular selfie camera in the inner display. Yes, I personally would have kept this over having a UDC any day. With last year's and previous models, there is the UDC camera, the under display camera, and it was giving potato quality. Like, it was just really grainy and it wasn't great. So having this, I think, is better. Yes, some may argue, well, I don't even use the inner selfie camera anyway, so I would have wanted to have it completely taken out and just have a screen with no cutouts and whatnot. And yes, I kind of see that point. But if I'd have to choose between this or a UDC, I'm definitely going to go with a regular camera that's going to give me better quality. So I personally appreciate it. Again, some may not, but that's a preference thing at this point. So with this outer display, I can tell you that in the past week, I've been using this much more than I'd be using the outer display of the Z Fold 6. And that does make sense, because it's got a larger 6.5 inch display, but it also is a little bit wider too, so it feels more like a conventional smartphone. Yes, is it 100% like a conventional smartphone? No, it's still a tad bit thinner, but it's easier to text and typing and all that stuff. If you want to, you can pretty much do everything on this outer display, I'll put it that way. So there's there's less of a reason now to open the inner display. I mean, if you remember with past folds, like the original Fold, it had such a tiny display that, like, if you wanted to actually do something, you really wanted to open that inner display. And after successors later on, they had a 6.2 inch outer display, but it was super thin. It was still super difficult to use, and you'd still want to open that inner display. But with this, it's like just regular tasks, and even playing games. Granted, like, you have that inner display, just use Call of Duty, but for most things, like if I'm calling or if I'm texting, browsing the web, most times I'll just quickly look it up on this outer display. And then if I really want to get more into detail, or if like I'm really focused on something, then yeah, I'm going to open this inner display and kind of multitask. So that's what the inner display has been. It's been very, very useful. But overall, this design is great. Now, here's the thing. it wobbles like crazy. I mean, I've seen videos of phones wobble quite, a lot, but this is at least my first phone that I've had wobble like crazy, and that's because of this, this camera module. It makes sense. And I also do want to point out this one thing that I kind of wish a $2,000 phone would have had. If Samsung is able to put it into the Ultra, they should have been able to put it here, and that's the anti-reflective coating display on at least the outer. I don't know if it would work with the inner. It'd be cool to have an anti-reflective coating in the inner display. I don't know if that's possible given, like the different structure and how they make the inside panel and whatnot. And when I was at Galaxy Unpacked, I was able to check out how they make the panels. But having an anti-reflective coating on this outer display would have been super nice. Bring it, please bring this coating to the Fold, at least for next year. It would have been great. Now, I'm saying that because I've used the S25 Ultra, and using that, I guess in a way you're spoiled. Like you'd like that feature, and when you switch back to a device that doesn't have, you're like, oh, well, that's a bummer, So hopefully Samsung next year will bring that to the Fold and to their other devices as well. But wrapping things up with design, Samsung did a phenomenal job. And I have right here the blue shadow, which this is from Samsung, so I am going to be sending this back, but I am picking up a Mint Galaxy Z Fold 7. And I'm excited for that. That's the Samsung.com exclusive, so there are some really nice colors. But let's get into the performance. How's the performance held up? And that's an easy question, easy answer. It's held up great. I mean, what else can you expect? With the Snapdragon 8 Elite, 12 gigs of RAM, if you go pick up the model with 1 terabyte, then you're gonna get 16 gigs of RAM. But it's been essentially the same as the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Buttery smooth, no hiccups, no issues. And this is running Android 16, One UI 8 with 7 years of software updates. And it truly has been awesome. Now with the Z Fold 7, Samsung did kind of talk a lot about AI features, generative edit and things like that, which is my favorite by far, and then the integration with Gemini AI. But I gotta tell you, I absolutely love generative edit. So actually what I'm going to do, and just kind of showcase here for you guys, is I'm going to take this photo right here that you see. I'm gonna click on this button. I'm gonna get rid of all these people here. This was when we went on a camera immersion tour with Samsung, and you click on generative edit, and just kind of want to choose the people here. It's going to be a little difficult kind of choosing one by one. Some of them, it works with auto, but this one I'm going to kind of manually choose, and I'm going to choose right there. There's some people in the background back there, and maybe right there. There we go. Hope we got that person right there. And I'm going to click on erase and then generate. So it's going to fill in the image. It does take a moment, but like let's say you're on vacation and you went sightseeing and you took a picture and there's a lot of people behind you and you just want to get rid of them and showcase yourself or your family. You just go right after into generative edit and you're all set to go. Just clean it up and bam. Look at that. So you can show the original right here, and the great thing about using the inner display is you get to see both of them side by side. If you're using the outer display, it does switch back and forth, but here it is. Here's the original, and then here is the generated image. I was going to say generative image, but generated image right there, and it looks very good. Now obviously it's going to say AI generate content, and if you do kind of zoom in, you can see some blurriness, but for the most part, Samsung does a phenomenal job filling it in. I truly think this is better than Magic Eraser. I mean, Magic Eraser was super good, but this, I've always gotten better results each and every time, and definitely much better than Apple's like cleanup feature. They got to really improve on that. So this has become my favorite feature with the Z Fold 7. Obviously, you can get this on other Samsung devices as well. And if you've used generative edit, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But everything else about the performance day-to-day, watching YouTube videos, multitasking, playing Clash of Clans, if you play games on this, it's going to be difficult to go back to a smaller screen. Every time I use a foldable, I get attached to Clash of Clans. And when I switch back to a regular, testing a regular slab of glass, it's so hard to, play Clash of Clans. I'm just used to using the larger screen. It is actually awesome. I'm using this for X, for Threads, TikTok, and all that great stuff. Obviously, browsing through Google Chrome, using it for Notion and kind of keeping up with my business and things like that. Obviously, the inner display for me, the main thing has been watching YouTube videos. Now, the speakers do get fairly loud, but I feel like the S25 Ultra just feels of better quality. I'll put it that way. But these still do get fairly loud. But before I do get into the cameras, I want to quickly talk about the S Pen because there is no more S Pen support. And this is really kind of a preference thing, I guess, too, because with the Z Fold 6, I never use the S Pen. I don't use it too often on my S25 Ultra. I like knowing that it's there, but I'm not really using it that often. And I've seen a lot of backlash with Samsung, removing that feature. And I personally don't mind it too much, but there are those who will not even pick up the Z Fold 7 because of that removal of S Pen support. So did Samsung do a great thing? I don't know. They have their own reasons to not include it, and users have their reasons to want to have it. For me, I'm not using it, so that's really my take on it. Would it have been nice to have that support? Yes, it would have. How often would I be using it? Probably once or twice to try it out and then kind of put it aside. It just doesn't really fit into my personal workflow. But for those who use it on their current Galaxy, like Z Fold 6 and 5 and things like that, I see why you wouldn't want to upgrade. Maybe Samsung might bring it back with the Z Fold 8. We don't know. But until then, we're not going to get it on the Z Fold 7, unfortunately. So that's kind of what I have to say about the S Pen support. Yeah, it would have been nice to have, but it's not here. So let's get into the cameras. We're getting a 200 megapixel main camera, which is the main upgrade. And you kind of have to change that when you go into the cameras. So when you first go into the camera app, it's by default 12 megapixel, and you want to change that into 200. And the results are really, really good. I mean, I personally like what I got with the results here. Now, what I would have liked to have seen with the Z Fold 7 is a true camera flagship setup. Take what the Ultra has, put it into the Z Fold 7. Again, it's a preference thing, but for me, I think a foldable should be Ultra in every single category. Like, bring in the same ultra wide, bring in the same telephoto and put it into the Z Fold 7. Maybe they might do that with the Z Fold 8. Bring in that 100x zoom, because I truly love the 100x zoom. If I go on vacations, I know I want to bring with me the Galaxy S25 Ultra because of that 100x zoom. It's gotten so good over the years that it's actually usable content. Like, I can take a photo with a 100x zoom and actually share it with friends and family when I go on vacation, or if I'm taking some sort of like a photo for memories or things like that. It comes in real handy. And bring it to the Galaxy Z Fold 7. Now, there's also this too. If you pick this up and you want to get into the content space, and I like talking about this in each of my videos, then yeah, you got a great device right here too, regardless of not having the same setup as the S25 Ultra. Both for photos and videos, it's still great. And I think we're at a point where phones, regardless of being a Z Fold or an iPhone or a Pixel, are so good, we can start making content. That is if you want to. And I know quite a few people who want to get into the content space, just, I don't know, talk about some sort of topic, whatever, their interests are. But they are concerned about picking up a camera, they're concerned about audio, they're concerned about lighting, they're concerned about this and that. Well, you already have a great camera, and that's the one in your pocket, which is your phone. Get started. Again, that's if you want to. But for sharing on social media, and for sharing with friends and family, it's a great setup. I'm not too nitpicky with the camera quality on devices. As long as I take a photo, it's quick, and it looks, the clarity is good, and it's decently saturated. I kind of prefer a little bit more saturated photos. Not too saturated, but not too dull either, like right in the middle. Then yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it. Let's move into the battery life, because we got the same 4,400 milliamp hour battery, But we're getting better battery life on the Z Fold 6. Now there's, factors that go into this with the Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, the efficiency of that, and then Android 16, which is obviously going to help with battery optimization, One UI 8, Samsung's battery AI algorithm, and all that stuff going on. Yeah, I'm getting better battery life on the Z Fold 6. It's still struggling towards the end of the day, getting about 15-20% by the time I end the day. But for the most part, I'm already around chargers every single day, so I don't need to worry about it. But in the case of not being near a charger, then you got to bring a portable charger with you. So like, let's say if I went camping, which, in the next couple weeks, there is some sort of plan like that, then yes, I do want to conserve my battery, or I do want to bring a portable charger with me. But overall, getting about 5 hours of screen on time with this has been pretty decent. Definitely is outperforming the Z Fold 6. I can tell you that if you really push it, you can get 6 hours. Now, charging speeds, my preference, they're not the fastest. Now I know if you have, the faster charging speeds you have, it will have an effect on the battery capacity, just the battery itself over time and things like that. But at least, bring it up to S25 Ultra standards, 45 watts. That would have been pretty nice. I'm not asking for 100 watts, although that would also be nice too. But there are, downsides to that. Put a silicon carbon battery for next year. I don't know, by keeping the same size, but keep, the same thickness of the Z Fold 8. Add a silicon carbon battery. Put a, 5,000 is fine. 45 watts of charging, and bam, you got a pretty good setup right there. However, I had some concerns initially when I got this phone, but a week later, I'm fine with a 4,400 milliamp hour battery. Yes, they didn't improve the number, the actual capacity, but there is improvements with all the efficiencies and just, having up-to-date tech inside the device itself. So if you are a heavy user, you just gotta be a little bit more cautious. If you're a light user, don't worry about it. You'll be fine with the battery on the Z Fold 7. And I am going to pick up the Z Flip 7 that has a larger battery than its predecessor, and I'm excited to try that out. I ordered it. I'm waiting for it to get delivered. So hopefully stay tuned to the channel, subscribe if you haven't already, because lots of Z Flip 7 content is also coming. But I want to wrap things up with the pricing and just final thoughts about this device. So it's $100 more expensive, comes in at a starting price of $2,000. And I think with all the upgrades that we're getting, I can kind of justify it. Yes, it's super, super expensive. I'm not out here saying, oh, you should get the Z Fold 7 even though it's $2,000. You have to be willing to put down $2,000, or if you're doing a trade-in, you have to be like, okay, I'm fine with paying that price, or paying the trade-in price, whatever it is, to get a foldable. These aren't going to be cheap devices. They're going to be expensive for sure. And yes, would I have liked to have the same prices last year? Yes, maybe even $1,800. Yes, that would have also been really nice, but we're going to be getting it for $2,000. You can't really do anything about it. However, I can tell you this, with Samsung devices, a month, 2 months, 3 months after their release, they quickly go on sale. So if you are in a rush, I would say wait a couple months for this device to go on sale and then pick it up. Because at $19, $18, even $1,700, if you can find it for $300 off starting price, that's going to be a very good price for this phone. And I always recommend it just like this. If you are looking for a new Samsung device, wait a couple months after its release and then pick it up, because you're going to find it at a cheaper price. But wrapping things up overall, in the past week, it's been awesome. My experience has been great. I mean, Samsung really has improved with the Z Fold 7. And I can tell you this, I will be rocking the Mint as my main device. And yes, right now I'm using this as my main phone and all, but once, I send this back to Samsung and I receive my Mint, I will continue to use the Z Fold 7. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to use this for the next for as long as possible, maybe until the Z Fold 8. Obviously, I'm reviewing other devices as well, and I have to, try those out too. But I'll probably end up, switching to those during the review process, and then coming back to the Z Fold 7 because it's just that good. Like, it's really, really good, and you truly have to try it, which is why I recommend each and every one of you who is interested, go to Best Buy. Go to your local carrier store if they have it on display. Try it out. I think you would truly like it. Samsung has listened and continues to listen to their consumers through the design, the improvements in design, with the great software performance, with the great updates in the camera, and with decent battery life. I think you're getting a really good foldable. Now we know there's other foldables like the Vivos and the Oppos and the Honors, but if you are based in the US, we don't have those. All we have are Samsungs, Googles, and OnePluses. And right now, OnePlus hasn't released a successor to their OnePlus Open, which released in 2023. We're getting a Pixel 10 Pro Fold, and then we have the Galaxy Z Fold 7. So essentially, it's like 2 new devices and then 1 2-year-old device. So which one are you going to choose? A lot of people are going to go with the Galaxy Z Fold 7. They're going to continue to dominate, in my opinion, the foldable market here in the US. So that's why I don't really talk about other foldables like Honor and Vivo and all that stuff, because I haven't tried them out and I don't really have access to them. So that's what I have to say. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, definitely be sure to superman that like button, comment down below, and best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel out a lot. Will help push my content out to more people. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, definitely be sure to superman that like button, comment down below, and best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel out a lot. Will help push my content out to more people. That's been it from me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.